Hey, I'm Todd. Thanks for choosing to watch my video, and if you would subscribe it, like it, all that stuff, that'd be great. Otherwise, enjoy the video, and I hope it gives you the information you need and is helpful to you. Take care. 2009 Ford F-150 front brake pad replacement, front brake pads and rotors. .21mm lug nuts. All bolts are left to loosen, right to tighten. The counterclockwise is left, and right to tighten is right. You want to break those loose, a turn or two on the ground, then jack it up. A nice big frame here, you can jack it up. Spot right here. In the front, you can get both wheels off the ground there with a jack, the right jack. So plenty of metal to jack up, get the tire off the ground. Use safety stands, protect yourself, and take the wheel off the rest of the way. Then you have your rotor, brake caliper mount, and then brake pad on the inside and outside. And 13mm for the smaller bolts for this right now, and 18mm bolts for the larger bracket in the back. I like to try and get in here and do a little collapsing of the piston. I'm going to get in here between the rotor and the caliper and pull. Didn't really collapse as much as I wanted to, but we'll see how it comes apart here. If it doesn't collapse easily, it can be a sign of a caliper problem of some kind. Either the slides are frozen or the piston might not slide freely. There we go. I got it off this upper slide here. Maybe this slide's stuck up here because it's collapsing decent now. We'll have to see. They moved. Something was maybe cockeyed, so. And you want to be careful not to damage these. I have new ones, but in case you don't get new ones, when you're looking up a brake caliper, you can make sure it comes with the new hardware. The bottom one doesn't have any little rubber on it, the top one does. Top one has a little plastic on there, rubber, some kind. Use our 18mm socket to get this off. Put those clips on the brake caliper bracket, and we'll slide this off. If it doesn't come off, you can tap it with a hammer on the side here, or a bolt. I think it's probably a 10 by 1.25 bolt that goes in here and screwed in the holes, and it'll force the rotor off. Recommend getting it machined or replaced. So that is removing your front brake pads, front brake rotor. Here's most of my tools I've been using. Here I'm going to use this. You can use this or a C-clamp, or even they make tools to collapse the pistons in your caliper, hammer, pry bar, sockets, some caliper lubricant, breaker bar if you're using hand tools, breaker bar, 3/8 ratchet as needed. Socket set 13mm and 18mm and 21mm for the lug nuts. That's basically it. My gun, and there's my new rotor ready to go, all washed up and everything. If you get a new rotor, it's probably got some anti-rust properties on it. You want to wash that all off, get it clean. Just some soap and water should be fine. It will collapse the pistons here. I did take some fluid out of the master cylinder so that it will not spill over. Brake fluid can do damage to paint, so you kind of want to be careful with it. So I'll show you that later in the video. Can't really rush it, but there you go. Collapse the pistons back in their holes. The new rotor is ready to go on. Sometimes with a lug nut to hold it on straight helps with the caliper bracket. Alright, so here's our caliper for the 2009 Ford F150. Front brakes, So we clean or replace these metal pieces here. Just a friction fit. Just push them on, pull them off. Got new ones with the hardware kit, so we'll put our new ones on. Snap into place, not too much to it. Just like that. And do the same for the other one. Boom. Check the slides, they're free. You want to do that pretty much right away so you know if you need calipers or not. We'll see if we can free this one up. It's a little stiff. Might have been just a lot of suction on there too. All right, lubricated new slides ready to go. Got our new pieces on as we showed in the video. Start all bolts by hand. We'll torque things up after we get it together here. Pads appear to be identical. Drop them in their little slot there. Might catch on these little things here, these edges of the metal. So just be aware of that. Kind of push it back. Brake pads do have holes here. Going to want to push the pads out, so you need to hold it. These slides have got a little flat edge, so kind of be aware of that. May make a difference. So just make sure you're lined up with the flat spot on the caliper. We'll put our bolts in. All right, that is replacing your front brake pads, rotor. We'll straighten out the wheel here. Now, some Fords, not all Fords, some Fords after you've turned the wheel back and forth with the key off, when you drive it and go around turns, you'll get some chatter. Not exactly sure what the problem is, maybe some air inside the power steering system, but so drive it for a while, go through some turns, eventually it'll work itself out and you should be fine, but just to be aware of that possibility. I'll give you some torque specs here in a second. All right, 136 I believe it said for the caliper mount. It said 55 for these, but I don't know about that. And 150 for the wheels, lug nuts. I don't know, 50 foot-pounds sounds like too much to me. It seems like 30 would be a better number, so let's just say don't quote me on the torque specs. Try and find another source. Make them tight. Maybe a little blue Loctite on them. They won't come loose. Snug them down. And let's go to the master cylinder and top off and talk about that. If you happen to have these wheels still and these hubcaps, it's got a notch on it, goes in one hole here. Right there. And that hole there. Here's the brake fluid right here, cap. Twist on, twist off, not too much to it. That's the minimum level down here and a maximum level up here. Make sure it's somewhere in between. Certainly closer to the maximum is good. Take .3 brake fluid is what you use for this. And if it gets up too high, maybe use a turkey baster or a clean rag, absorb it. Just try not to let it flow out. It can damage paint if you're worried about that. Otherwise, if you get some spilled, top it off, or if you spill some, go ahead and put the cap on. Probably just wash it down with water. It should be fine. Not a problem. Put the cap on tight though. Don't get water in the master cylinder. So we'll step on the brake, pedal a few times. We'll set this, set the pistons. Fluid level will settle, and then we can top it off or add it as needed. Looks to be pretty good right now for us. Your experience may differ. And then take it for a test drive. That should be it for replacing your front brakes on probably many years, makes and models on Ford F150, I think 2009. Bolt sizes don't matter so much. The procedure is basically the same for most every model for many years.